Everybody? Check in and make sure everybody's here. Welcome to Town Board, folks. We're starting with public comment. I want to ask our town clerk to take roll call and get us going.
Good evening, everybody. This is Tuesday, May 6th, the year is 2014. On roll call, Councilman Troy.
Present.
Councilman Dibny.
Here.
Councilman Moore.
Here.
Councilman Valentine.
Here.
Supervisor Stewart.
Here.
I would like everybody to please stand. We'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlie. Our first item is public comment of a general sort. So I'll make a motion to open the public comment period. Can I have a second for that? Mr. Moore, all in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Excuse me? Well, let's let these guys, and then I'll do announcements. But is anybody here for a public comment on anything? Sir, in the back row, I think you had something to say. If you wouldn't mind, it seems a little formal, but as Dennis was saying, if you come to the microphone, it's also a courtesy for folks who might be tuning in on TV, and that way they can hear you. Yes.
My name is Charles Scholl. I'm a longtime resident, and I just want to thank Charlotte for the recycling, the shredding of all the junk paper that we've had since like 1979, 80, okay? And thanks again, and I look forward to it next year.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
That was well done. Any others for public comment tonight? Yes, sir. Oh, you're right. Actually, you are right here, Mr. Hassan. Thank you.
Mrs. Madigan, it started with you. I've never acknowledged you in this town hall and being a beacon light for all of us. I really pray to God for your long, long presence among us. Honorable Town Board, gentlemen, I had a great sight. Valentine sitting there, a former U.S. Marine, at one corner of this town board. At the other side, I don't know what Andy Stewart did to Dennis Troy. I see him moved. Since you were living in Bronx, I've been seeing him sitting next to the supervisor. Not anymore. I don't know what happened, but it's okay. Next to Dennis Troy is this podium where I stand. I would like to say that my greatest commendation, I've been saying this a lot, but finally the Supreme Court has upheld the ceremonial prayers. It's a recognition that since our nation was founded, until I would say eternity to add and change the wordings of the judgment by Justice Honorable Antonio Kennedy that he has put on, where he said today, and I say to eternity, many Americans dream that their own existence must be understood by the precepts far beyond the country, far beyond the authority of the government. And my head bows down in prayers to God. I'm glad that finally what we have been preaching, it's time come where we can start practicing too. And I believe, as I may bring up Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., present and imminent danger ruling, acting Associate Justice of the Supreme Court in the past of the golden days of this republic. Mr. Supervisor, if there is any principle of the Constitution that requires more impartiality, calls for attachment than any other, it is the principle of free thought. Not free thought of those who agree with us, but the freedom for that we hate. And I believe that we should also commend the town council in town of Greece, not in Athens, in United States. And bless you all. Thank you so much. Today is the most blessed day in this century that I've ever seen. And I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you so much. God bless America. Amen.
Thank you, sir. We also have Eileen Larkin for public comment.
Good evening, members of the board. I'd like to address the issue about the proposed privatization of the sewer department, also known as DEMI. I've lived here for 43 years, and for all those years, I have never had a problem with the use of any of my bathroom or kitchen facilities. I speak very highly of the people, the men and women who work at the sewer treatment plant. Outsourcing this $50 million facility is not good, in my opinion, for the residents. Privatization means making a profit. If a few problems do exist, which always does exist in any business, the time clock, misuse of orange overtime, these problems are easy to remedy. The department heads should be held up responsible for any misuse of these, the plant's facilities or overtime, and they should be brought to the attention of the town board immediately, because they do serve at the discretion of the town board. We do not need to spend additional town money to investigate this idea. There is a lot at stake here, and I see it as a slippery slope leading to the weakening of the union. I have a strong union background, going back to my Irish-born father, who worked for Mike Quill and the Transport Workers Union, and the New York City Police Department and the New York City Fire Department. Yes, unions are costly, but we know who runs our sewer treatment plant. They are usually people that live here in Orangetown. As I said, to correct this problem these problems that I have read in the paper, I think can be solved. To privatize a $50 million facility to an outside group who we know nothing about is very dangerous. Who will they have working for them? I don't know. I certainly know a lot of the people who work here in Orangetown, throughout the town. I've always felt they were nice people, nice men and women, and they have a strong commitment to Orangetown. An outside group would not. And as I said before, I am very concerned. I know unions, what they brought to my table as a child and as a wife and a mother. The union benefits also benefited the private industry. So while we do have to control union costs and look at how we could reduce them or save them, we do not have to privatize a sewer treatment plant. We don't privatize the police department. We don't privatize the highway department. And to outsource the sewer department is an outrage and should be seriously tabled. Thank you.
All right. Clicker doesn't seem to be clicking. There we go. Thanks for that comment. Is there anybody else for public comment? Not seeing any hands up. Make a motion to close public comment. Second from Divany. All in favor say aye. Just a couple of announcements I wanted to make, and also just on the sewer question, as I said last week, or maybe it was the week before, I'm gathering information, and I know that you and others want to base your judgments on information, and so I put together a whole sort of library of documents that are available. Actually, I gave the access to town board members and anybody else who wants to look at stuff, handed it out last week, to find out. And that's basically the status of that. There's a couple other things going on. I just want to make a few announcements before we get on with the regular agenda. Events. On May 22nd, we're having a hearing related to United Water surcharge rate increase. That's at 7 o'clock. I have a couple of flyers here. I'm going to pass them out to the town board. And anybody who's interested in coming, please take advantage of this opportunity to go on the record if you have feelings for or against United Water's request for, and also informationally, because it's a little confusing, because there are 3 different rate cases going on. One general rate case, one related to the desal plant, and the third case before the Public Service Commission is about whether or not we really need the water. So it's confusing, and we'll have presentations about that, and then people can make comments. I have every expectation they'll be there. They've been at every single hearing I've been to. The other one is the. Sorry. This is because they're not the Public Service Commission is not holding a hearing on the surcharge case locally, and so they won't be present. But the comments will be sent to them, just like if you send in comments to their website, and you can go on the record, which folks who don't come to the hearing can go on the record by sending comments directly to the Public Service Commission, which is what we'll do as well.
Is this going to be live, videotape?
I think so. I think Anthony said he could do that.
And this was for the general increase?
This is for the surcharge for the desal plant. The general increase one, what those hearings at Felix Festa a week or so ago, that was the other rate case. This is the surcharge related to the $50 million invested so far in the desal kind of ramp-up process. And a lot of information is coming out about this issue every week now. The county water czar, Dan Miller, just came out with a kind of change in his perspective on it in terms of the need, and other information comes out all the time. So I think it's useful that we have this. We'll have a couple of informational presentations. They will all be critical of the need, but anybody's welcome to come and say whatever they want. And I know that United Water has done a very good job of promoting their view. So the other event is this one about the federal law, the ARLUPA law. I just want to pass this out. I think when I mentioned it before, I said it was at 6 p.m. It's actually at 7 p.m. I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. This is at 7 p.m. on May 29th, and I'll have extra copies of these, anybody wants one. Again, this will be, I'm sorry, maybe you could come around. A training sponsored by the Rockland Planning Federation, hosted by the town here in our space, as we frequently do for planning trainings, and it will focus on this this law, and in terms of making sure that town officials, town attorneys, planning board members, and others are well versed in it, because it poses certain legal risks for towns and villages. And that's what that is. We actually have some wonderful speakers, some people with a lot of legal expertise who are going to be making those presentations. This one starts at 7 p.m. And I have flyers here, Eileen, if you want to pick one up. And I'll make sure I send out an email about that. I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but essentially, I will describe it. The ARLUPA is the acronym, the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. And we're having this so that we can better understand it, but essentially, what's the best way of putting it? It gives religious institutions a bit of a lift relative to local zoning, and it kind of changes the process somewhat in a way that makes it harder for local zoning authority to act in the same way it would act on any other site plan review. And I'm going to leave it in that sort of somewhat vague terms, because I'm not the lawyer. But I think a lot of us are pretty critical of the law, but we do need to understand it so that we don't kind of get ourselves in trouble in some way. Hopefully we can, through understanding it, we can actually also promote some changes in it, but that's somewhat of a topic for another night. So those are some announcements. I also just wanted to just give you some quick updates on some of the projects that we've been talking about on a weekly basis now. Just on Rockland Psych, you might have noticed that our town attorney, John Edwards, put a memo together a reflection of the conversations we had over the last week with Empire State Development, and we've submitted the information that they asked for a revision of the Memorandum of Understanding. So that's on its way. I mentioned the online set of documents you can look at. I hope you're accessing it relative to sewer contracting. On compressed natural gas, we had a meeting today just with fire officials, building, and the town attorney and so on to go over some questions, some really great questions about site planning and traffic and so on. Councilman Divany was there and Mr. Valentine as well. We have another meeting on Thursday at 2 where the developer of the site, a proposed project, will be giving some more information of a technical nature. And so you're welcome to come to that. Obviously, I've already told the members of the town board about that. You're welcome. The Homes for Heroes, this is a project where we're looking to see if we can figure out how to improve the drainage in Tapan and on the Spark Hill by ripping out old pavement. We had a good walk around with John Murphy and the Homes for Heroes board today, and our town staff and engineers and so on. And just sort of a heads up to the board that as we pursue this is sort of wonderful collaboration where the Homes for Heroes project is land along the railroad track that they don't need would be available for drainage and flood prevention improvement. We're going to need, as a town board, to do a resolution essentially supporting an application to Health and Human Services to receive that land that Homes for Heroes doesn't need for their housing. And John Edwards is looking at the application process, and so am I. And we're trying to figure out how to get it done by a very tight deadline. But if you have any questions or concerns about it, please let me know, because I'll be bringing some kind of a resolution, I'm not exactly sure what it looks like, essentially to authorize me to make this application on behalf of the town so that we can receive the land for the drainage project. All right? So I don't have it yet. I think I'll probably have it for next week. And then I just want to note that some great ideas came in over the weekend as far as in terms of applying for funding for capital facilities outside of what we're bonding. And I'm going to be kind of working over that list. And so please keep sending your ideas. Eric Gordon gave us a number of parks-related ones earlier in the day.
How are you making the decision on which one you're picking?
It's not my decision. It's really our decision.
Well, I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
And so I think what we need to do is, I would really like to spend time at our workshop next week kind of delving into this. And I think we should take some time tonight, although it feels to me like some of the project ideas are still kind of in motion. For example, the bike safety cut through on Route 303, we just asked the highway department, the engineering folks, late last week to give us some sense of how much that would cost, and we need that information. So I'm trying to pull that together to decide what would be best to ask for. We were originally told maybe we could get about $500,000. Now they're talking $250,000, so it's a slightly different ask.
When we get to the workshop, we'll actually sit down and each board member will say what their priorities are and come to a consensus.
I would hope that would work. I see no reason why it wouldn't be a consensus.
Yes,
So,
no,
yeah.
I hope that would work.
Well, what I will provide is a short briefing on each of the projects, and maybe we can actually look at it and we can kind of rate them or something like that. And,
I'd like to hear your rating and I'll give you mine.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, I did talk to Sidney Schenker on Friday.
Yeah. Just so folks can hear you.
And Sidney Schenker is our counsel in Albany who's been in touch with Senator Carlucci's office. And there is also the option of applying for this grant for debt reduction and to pay off the bonds, and that, to me, is a noble cause in itself, and that we can put more money back into the fund balance. And one of the things that she did say is that if you've already bonded for a project, the state may not be interested in giving you money for a project you've already put into your budget and put in for a bond. So that's something that we should think about, and I think Paul realized that when I sent out my email. You know, we've already, for the shed and storage shed at the golf course, we've already put in the park, sorry, park shed for 450. You know, if we apply for 450 or 250, we may not get that money because we've already spent that money for that project and we've already bonded for it. So that's just something that everyone on the board should realize. But from what she's telling me, there's going to be a lot of money out there this year, so we
Is
should.
that, I have a question. Is that the same as it would be the roof for the Nike base for the records? That it's already been set aside, therefore it can't be?
It's already bonded for.
It's already bonded for, so
Right.
that money,
So the money-
you already have the
You already
money.
have the money.
So it's, the email I sent out last Friday was, you know, listen, we've already put money out for these projects, we already bonded for them. What else do we want?
That explains it. I didn't understand it, now I do.
There's-
First, they said. If I understand it right, Andy, first they said bonded and non-bonded, and then they said, no, only non-bonded. If you already have the money, you can't do it. So Tom is right that those projects, which we came up, were already bonded for, but there are a lot of different projects that, you know,
Yeah.
we should throw a
Exactly.
lot of stuff against the wall and see what sticks, and hopefully we can get something.
The ironic thing is I brought this point up and I was called a jerk by someone that works for Andy's office, so I think it's funny.
Who called you a jerk?
Your deputy supervisor.
I'm sorry, that's not called for. I don't actually, we could talk about that after the meeting, because, and then the permutations of it are numerous, so the bond versus not bond, and then Cindy's proposed that maybe we should pitch a package that includes bonded and unbonded stuff. It's kind of a moving target. I think at the end of the day, though, she feels confident we'll get $250,000, and we just have to kind of decide what we want to pitch to more or less hit that price tag.
In terms of, you know, throwing things against the wall, again, it could be, Valentine said, it could be 6, 7 items that you want to put down, but they should be prioritized in terms of what we
Absolutely.
believe is our top priority. And you're right, we need to put more than 1, 2, or 3, because they may say, no, not this one. I'll give you number 2, or I'll give you number 5. But, so we need several items, but they got to be prioritized.
And I think one of them would be, I did mention the sidewalks on Oak Street Road. We haven't put money aside for those. That would probably be one of the priorities, since everyone on the board has said it is a priority. It's another one to put out there.
Was that in our bond list, the Oak Tree Road sidewalk? No, okay. I agree. That's a good one. So that's that, along with the Tappan Zee Bridge Fund and other things. It's just sort of this process of generating ideas, putting together concepts and hanging a price tag on them, and then deciding kind of what to pitch to which potential funder. And in some cases, the criteria for a grant are very well spelled out. In others, it's entirely kind of a mystery, and they don't tell you much. So that's that, a bit of an update. I just want to know also, Eric, our Parks Superintendent, asked for an executive session later on a contract issue, so I'd hope that we can spend a little time on that, and I don't think otherwise we'll be here for very long. With your agreement, we'll go forward through our agenda for the evening. Item number 1.
You have above that announcements.
I'm sorry, thank you, Dennis. We have it.
That's why it's on the agenda.
There are 5 event-related announcements, and they're all sort of respective of important activities taking place in the town. National Public Works Week, as we've announced, the Highway Department has an equipment show and an open house coming up in celebration of public workers. National Police Week, that one was submitted by Chief Nolte, and there'll be commemorative ceremonies related to folks who have died in the line of duty on that. Building Safety Month is also May 2014, and there's a proclamation related to that, as with National Emergency Services Week is also in May. And with Dennis's reminder, as we've done in years past, we're going to invite our ambulance and first responders and paramedics in to be recognized as part of that week. So all of these groups play a vital role in keeping town residents safe and keeping our businesses productive and keeping kind of the wheels turning. So we want to recognize them at this time. And also, Charlie Madigan is hosting sort of a follow-up to our shredding day, a passport day on Thursday, May 8th, which is going to involve the county clerk's office and making it easy for people to do their applications for passports. Are you also
Well-
going to be taking pictures of people?
Well, we're going to take pictures of people, then put them on a passport, so.
All right, so you can get your photo and
Paul
everything.
Picarato has been kind enough to come down to Town Hall and issue the passports from this location. So it's a great service that he's helping us out with for the people in Orangetown.
That's really
We're
handy.
very happy. He knows that this is making us happy, and he loves doing it.
Charlie, is this just for original passports, or is this renewals as well?
Both,
Both?
both.
Thanks for that. Item number 1, this is opening a public hearing on a zone change on Bronsdorf Road, Hunt Road. Resolved that at 8 PM, let's see, are we close to 8 PM? 2 minutes, all right, let's just go for it. To consider a proposed local law amending the town code, chapter 43, entitled zoning, section 2.2, zoning map, is hereby opened. Can I have a second on that, please? Some, Troy, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Town clerk, if you could present the affidavit of publication and
And
notice
the
of
notice
posting.
of posting, if anybody would like to see them.
All right, she's got it. There was nobody signed in on the sign-in sheet for this public hearing. We've discussed this matter in the past. The Eichners have made their case, and there's been attorney work on it. The public portion is open. I'm not seeing any hands. Can I have a motion to close the public portion? We got it from Divany. All in favor, say aye. All right, all set. Item number 3 is for the town board to declare itself lead agency in this matter. Can I have a motion for that, please? From Moore, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are now the lead agency for the SECRA review. And the agenda actually prints out a lot of information about the reasons for the change in the zoning map, the determination under SECRA of any potential impacts which are insignificant on all these different categories: traffic, agriculture, history, groundwater, critical environment, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of information there. And there's also a copy of, which we'll get to, the proposed text of the law. It's all in there. All right?
Told him it wasn't really necessary.
So this resolution number 4 is to adopt a negative declaration under SECRA, essentially saying that it does not have a significant environmental impact, making a small change in the zoning map, to change the zoning classification of 3 tax parcels in the hamlet of Pearl River, and it describes the parcels. It describes the circulation of notice to all involved or potentially interested agencies, that the town is lead agency. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby adopts the negative declaration annexed hereto and authorizes the town supervisor to execute the environmental assessment form, and so on and so forth. Can I have a motion for that, please? Move from Divany, second over here. Moore, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we've adopted a negative declaration under SECRA, State Environmental Equality Review Act, I guess is what that stands for. Item number 5 is the adoption of the actual law. Whereas the town board is the duly elected legislative body of the town, authorized to adopt zoning text amendments to the town's zoning law, and it goes down through, so on and so forth, describing the change and what it means. And then the last section is now therefore, based on all of this information before the board and the findings made herein, be it resolved, the town board hereby adopts the within local law, amending town zoning law and the town zoning map, and so on and so forth, and changes the zoning classification of the 3 reference parcels to RG, or general residence. I have a motion from Divany. Can I have a second? From Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and this law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. Number 6, moving on. This is acceptance of a bond rider from, yeah, we're good to go. If that didn't put you to sleep. All right. Good job. Thanks for coming out tonight. This is a case in which the planning board decided to reduce the amount of the performance bond to the sum of $92,000 and change. And it sets a deadline of April 9th, 2016 for the completion of all public improvements on the site. All of it having been reviewed by the town attorney, so on and so forth. I'll make a motion to approve this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
From Moore, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got that one. I made the motion and Moore second, yeah. All right, from the Parks Department, this is number 7. This is a date change for Pearl River Day, rescinding an early resolution and putting out a different date with barricades and so on and so forth. Let's see, on October 11th, looks like. I have a motion from Tom Divany, second from Valentine. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 8, from Demi and the town attorney, certification of sewer work. There are 2 companies listed here, MRJ Excavating and Scafidi and Sons. Can I have a motion for this, please? Over here, Moore, second from Troy. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Here we have the number 9, the appointment of Joe Brady Amoon. Joe make it tonight because we did invite him to come out. Nope, I don't see him. Appointment to the Board of Assessment Review to fill the unexpired term of Charles Cross. Can I have a motion for that, please? Over here, Mr. Valentine, a second.
Second.
From Moore, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Office of Emergency Management, request permission for a conference for Harold Johnson, and it costs $620. I'll make a motion for this. Can I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
From the Highway Department, there's 2 items. Both are event supports. One is Tapan Memorial Day Parade. Can I have a motion for that one, please?
Motion to consolidate both into one.
All right, I'll second that. So let's vote on them both. The other one is the car soapbox derby. Do we have a second on the consolidation and Valentine? So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so let's assume that to be taken care of, both of them. Number 13 is accepting the resignation of Police Captain Robert Zimmerman, effective April 26, 2014. Moved from Divany, second from over here. Moore, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Captain Zimmerman. Number 14, this is acceptance of resignation of Nadia Shapiro, who's been wonderful in the supervisor's office for the last, I don't know, if it's been almost a year or something like that. I will make a motion with regret to accept that resignation. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second from Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 15, this is from the town clerk's office. This is a received file of 4 documents that are listed here. So I'll make a motion for this one. Over here. Divany. Second from Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 16 is the execution of a release, Orange and Rockland. John, could you just explain what's going on here?
There was sewer repair work required to be done, High Street, High Avenue, whatever.
Oh, and Nyack. Oh, that one, okay, now I remember.
Orange and Rockland had left a main in the road, had discontinued a gas main, didn't remove it, had left it there however many years ago, and it interfered with the work, and it cost the town a little over $10,000 because they did not timely respond to Joe's request to come out and move it. So the contractor on site moved it at our expense, and we billed Orange and Rockland. And they said no, and we said yes, and we came down in the middle because it's not worth going to court over $5,000. However, going forward, they'll be held to task.
All right, thank you for that description. I know that Joe actually had some recommendations too on how they can kind of better communicate how and where their pipes are.
Yeah, well, they should be removing these things when they discontinue and install something new. So, but it's cheaper and more convenient to leave it in place, and they'll pay in the future. But this one was not that expensive and was easier to resolve.
Gotcha. Can I have a motion for this resolution, please? Over from Divany, second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, now we have our audit. Oh, sorry.
We're still on new business.
We've been going back and forth. John Edwards sent out an email last week about the Brightwood project. Brightwood, regarding the zone change for an assisted living facility. And I said that I'm against it. I think we should have a formal vote whether we want to accept this going forward, or we want to just tell the developer we're not interested in going forward with the zone change for the assisted living facility on Route 303 and Kingshighway. So I make a motion to reject the zone change amendment for an assisted living facility at the property at Kingshighway and Route 303.
Thanks for bringing that up.
I will second that, because what has happened is the developer keeps going back to the residents. And if you'll recall, when they first came in here, they gave us every assurance that all the neighbors were in favor of this particular development. Then, as it turned out, months later, that was not the case at all. They contacted me about a month and a half ago, wanted to meet with me again, and I said, no. Once you lost my trust in the fact that you told me initially that everybody's in favor of this, and that turned out not to be true, I'm not interested in the zone change at all, zero. So told them they're wasting their time. So I believe, just to put the residents on Kingshighway at ease, that we should have a vote on this.
Yeah. I originally thought it was a great idea because you need facilities like that, but then the one meeting we had with the neighbors did come up and express their very discontent with the idea of having it in their neighborhood. So it's not a good thing to do.
Assisted living is not a bad, development, but not on that particular parcel, meaning you need the zone change. There are other parcels in the town that they could go to and have put in an assisted living facility.
Well, there are other developers who are looking to do assisted living facilities. I know I've met with them. I think, Paul, you've met with them, and Dennis has met with them separately. So there's other parcels they can put assisted living facilities, but I've gotten numerous phone calls from irate residents who are, every week they hear that it's going to be done, and they want the town board to let them know how they stand on this project. So again, I make a motion to reject this project and advise the developer that we're not interested in doing it.
We got a motion, we got a second.
In a second.
Any other comments?
I just, we have been stringing the developer along. John has his email pretty much indicated that we were against it, but I think a formal vote is the way to go. I support the idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it's needed. I think an Alzheimer's care unit is what they were recommending. The town could use one, that's just the wrong spot because of the zoning change. That is commercial, so I hope the residents be careful what they wish for, because they could end up getting a factory in there or something that is permitted in that thing and get trucks 24 hours a day. But they were absolutely opposed to this, and we have to support our residents.
I agree with the rest of the members of the board, and also note that, so much hangs on the redevelopment plan for Rockland Psych, and it's reasonable to expect we'll have some conversation around assisted living as part of that process. And it just doesn't, for the reasons that others have stated, plus the question of Rockland Psych, I think it makes sense to give these folks clarity. So let's have a vote on that, please. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. I just wanted to note, too, the town board does get petitions occasionally for amendments, and we act on them as quickly as we can when they seem to make sense. And so we did the column seal, we did the Eichner. These are little tweaks that make sense. The next one, the one that we've been petitioned on most recently, we had Rick Burdoff and the RG management folks in here talking about their request for zoning changes. And I know that, like myself, other members of the board are kind of stewing on that one a little bit. And that's one of the ones that we're going to have to come back and think about a little bit more. So it's just a reminder to all of us that request is going to need a response. We've got the audit.
Okay. Today's audit consists of 4 warrants. The first warrant is really just an accounting event where we're going to do interfund insurance transfers for the amount of $1,337,000. Obviously, each of those items are budgeted out of separate funds, and so this is basically just to set those straight, but no incremental additional charge other than what we already talked about. The second warrant is for $4,000 for a 207C benefit. The third warrant is for $119,000 and is strictly for utilities. And then the fourth warrant consists of 202 vouchers for $451,000. Some of the larger items there are number 3, our April recycling contract for $48,000. Number 4, CSCA dental premiums of $26,000. Number 11, $23,000 for McLaren for the engineering study for the Sparkhill Creek flood mitigation project. And number 19, W. Harris, $29,000 for sewer repairs at the Nyack pump station. Any questions from the board?
I don't have any questions about this list, but it reminds me of a question that I have, and this is related to our effort to work with the Homes for Heroes folks to get a large portion of that land for drainage purposes. We're going to need a survey as part of our application to Health and Human Services. How exactly do we pay for that?
Well, it's
Cash.
Cash check.
Does the board need to authorize that as a separate resolution? Because we're going to end up at a kind of a time bind.
my estimation is yes, we don't have it budgeted for.
Right.
So that's going to be incremental, and so I think that would cover our basis and be the safe way to go.
Okay.
But if necessary, you can do it after the fact, like other things have been done.
How large is this lot?
The Homes for Heroes lot is 13.8 acres. A portion of it is already developed with, I guess, 5 or 8 units. Is it 8 units?
How much are they giving us?
That would be the lower portion. It's roughly half of it, 5 or 6, 7 acres, something like that.
You talk about 6.5 acres?
For the lower half of, the total site is 13.8, so I'm just guesstimating what the lower half total acreage would be. It's roughly half of that.
Trying to figure out how much the survey would cost.
Right.
Less than $2,000.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of money. And there's already a survey, so it's just a question of connecting some dots and drawing a line for subdivision that doesn't exist on their survey. So maybe, could the town board register its support if we need to spend a couple $1,000s to get that survey done? Can I go ahead and do that?
Well, let's get the agreement done first before we spend money.
Well, this is the thing. it's sort of a drawn-out process. For us to make an application to receive those lands from Health and Human Services requires a site plan, conceptual, and a survey showing the boundaries of the land that would be split off from the Homes of Heroes parcel. And so, you know, we need it for the application,
Do we have an agreement with Homes for Heroes yet? Do we have anything in writing?
not a written
So
agreement.
that's what I'm saying.
We have letter
I spend
support.
money- I mean, I represent my clients all the time. I'm not spending their money until I know I have a commitment. Until we have a commitment or an agreement with Homes for Heroes, why spend the money?
I'm just trying to think what kind of agreement we could,
A written agreement.
we could certainly have a letter of intent of some kind, because we have a letter of support already. We could tweak that. I'm looking at John, because maybe you have an idea about how to,
Well, my quick review of the application, I don't think we need a meets and bounds. I don't think we need an actual survey. I think we can probably get along if our engineering department is able to take the map, do an overlay, and an estimate as was done, you know, for RPC for the state
Alternative
legislation, I
route,
think. I think the application allows for that with more detail to be supplied later, so I think that's okay. Because I think that survey is going to be a lot more than $2,000.
yeah.
Because based on discussions today, that easement that runs down the middle, and it just looks to
There's a
me
fair
like
amount of
it's a
figuring
little
out.
bit more involved, and if we were to try and do it before May 22nd on an expedited basis,
Oh, on an expedite? Yeah.
I think you're looking between 5 and 7,500 or so.
Right.
So I don't think we have to do that for the application.
We might be able to figure out a way. Basically, it all depends on the answer to that question, and I think we can find out more from Health and Human Services what qualifies as adequate survey. But yeah, if that's the case, then we can move forward. I mean, we're already spending our time on it. It's certainly worth pursuing.
However, you will need the resolution authorizing the submission of the application.
Right.
So you can do that. Why don't you,
I think we may need to do that on the 13th, actually, because our next meeting will be the 20th, and it's due
Right.
on the 22nd. So as an item of business, then, on the 13th, we'll have a resolution that basically says, make this application. And just as a heads up, and the conversation's been evolving a little bit, essentially it's an application for Health and Human Services, the federal agency that has dominion over that land, to give to the town the lower portion of the site for drainage improvement, with the support of the Homes for Heroes project. And from there, it's a question of finding money to design and install the drainage improvements. And I'm fairly confident that we will have funding for that, but that will be yet another application process. But at least if we could sort out having title to it, it'll give us the chance to actually apply for the funding that we would need. And again, just to remind ourselves, it essentially is a large swath of pavement that and this is something that the Highway Department and others have looked at, if it were ripped up and the drainage ditch that comes under Western Highway for that section of Tapan were channeled over it, you could reduce the amount of pollution in the water and reduce the volume and the speed of the water and green up an area which is currently kind of an abandoned paved area, all of which would be beneficial in terms of flood and water quality requirements that the town has to deal with, not to mention the benefits to adjacent property owners in terms of not having jumbled concrete and so on. So that's the idea. Any questions or comments about that project? It's a focus for us right now, and I appreciate the support of Highway Department. Joe was down there, and Bruce Peters, and everybody kind of sorting through this question. It's a great opportunity for the town, and hopefully we can continue to kind of bird dog the legal and financial aspects and get where we need to go.
Move to vote on the audit and accept.
Second.
Second from Moore, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jeff, thanks for that. Do you have a sheet for us all to sign? Okay. We were going to have an executive session to talk about a contract and get our lawyers to weigh in on it related to the concession down there in Veterans. So hearing no further new business, we will be adjourning when we get back into the room, and there will be no further town business, no votes, no discussion, no nothing. All right? Thank you very much.